Many of you may not be aware of the situation of KEarms. So many of you guys may remember back in the late '90s, the company came out with the monolithic Palmer AR lowers, which was cool. I had one way back in the day, and they were okay. What's that?
There's heads up running to be dropped off on the visitor's side.
Okay, tell me that later. I'm doing something right now. Kids gotta love it. So, anyways, yeah, so they were cool, and the company that made it came up with a secondary generation one, which is slightly better. And another company, a guy had bought the molds from them, and the problem with ARs is the patents expired. So unless you make a very specific modification to the lower that does something different than the average spec, you can't really patent it. You can patent a device or something specific, but you can't patent the entire lower. So the guy had bought the molds, ended up not using it, so he sold it to another company called GWAC. And GWAC had produced them for a period of time, and they were literally just, carbon copies of the original DV15s, which was the first company who produced them. Well, fast forward, and the guys from InRange TV decided that they wanted to kind of make a throwback, super lightweight rifle using modern parts. And one of the main things they needed was a polymer monolithic AR lower, because believe it or not, that's actually what Stoner had done way back in the day when he was trying to update the AR. He had sold the main rights to Colt for them to remanufacture, but he still had the original intellectual property. So he had made one, but unfortunately the plastics they had at the time kind of sucked. So the guys from InRange decided that they're going to do it themselves. So what they did is they came up with a parts list of here's what you need to buy to make this new, what they called it, the What Would Stoner Do rifle. And it was a pretty cool rifle. Well, the company GWAC, who was producing it, completely ran out of all the lowers they had built. They had like a 2 or 3 year supply of lowers, but they ran out because it was so popular all of a sudden because of this What Would Stoner Do rifle project. So they had been contacted by Brunells to manufacture the rifle to be sold either as a kit or just a lower or a complete rifle. And they were working with GWAC to try to get all of the lower that they needed to be able to produce this with Brunells. Sorry, for some reason my internet's been with the house lately. This went on for probably, I think it was like, Jesus. Ended up contacting the state that GWAC was in and found out that their company had been dissolved. They were no longer in business. They were kaputs. Contacted their friend at KEarms because they were friends with one of the owners and said, hey, could you guys manufacture a monolithic polymer lower? I'm very sorry about the internet having problems. Usually it's not this bad. So KEarms ended up realizing that they needed well over $500,000 to get the basic stuff, to get the really expensive molds, to get all the equipment they needed. Hopefully I swapped to a different internet. Hopefully this helps. So they ended up spending the large amounts of money to be able to get this going. And they finally got it going. So they're producing them. Brunells is starting to advertise. InRange is starting to advertise. They're starting to sell the rifles. But they upgraded it. They upgraded to a flared mag well. They added a better grip on there. They did a lot of improvements to make this considerably better than the molds that they had, because the molds were they were worn out. You can only use a mold for so long, and even just using plastic will wear them out. So, yeah, I smoke in the garage. You guys will live. So they end up doing this, and then after they ramped up production, GWAC, I guess, came resurrected from the dead and realized how much money KEarms was making off this project, and they decided, well, they're going to sue them. But they didn't have the money to sue them because they were a dissolved company. They're pretty much non-existent. They're not making any parts. But they sued them saying, well, you stole our opportunity to manufacture these parts, to make all this money with Brunells, to make all this money with these different companies, and you're infringing on our business. Well, the problem is they went out of business. They didn't answer their emails. They didn't have any contracts. They never got any parts. There's nothing finalized with them. But because the way the court systems work is you can still sue. So Brownells had to reel it in, stop advertising. InRange had to stop advertising. And the only reason they're able to do this is because they got themselves a business partner who is an anti-gun D-bag who is using this as an investment where he puts money into the lawsuit to sue KEarms to make a ton of money more back as an investment so he can make money. Now, the company has absolutely zero intent of actually ever manufacturing any of these lowers. They just want to make money off a lawsuit. They figure they can make 10, 20, 30 million dollars because that's how the law works. But he even testified that he never wants to get into manufacturing. He doesn't want to get into the manufacturing of assault weapons or military weapons. Those are the words he used, not me. And he has no whatsoever means of doing so. But he's supposed to be the guy who's bringing this company from the dead, but that's what they're supposed to be manufacturing. So right now, they're going through the issue where they're trying to fight off this anti-gun a-hole and this dead company who's just trying to use the court systems to destroy an actual American-based company that produces pretty cool parts. It's not just a polymer lower. They produce a lot of stuff. So they're not taking donations. I do not want you to donate to them because even if you try to, they will not accept it. But they do need help. They need help because this guy has a lot more money than they do. And they're running out of cash because this guy's just throwing money at their attorneys. So what I need you guys to do is go over to KEarms. I can't say the rest because YouTube. And buy something. Buy anything at all. It doesn't have to be one of their polymer lowers. They make regular, actually really cool lowers, really cool uppers, barrels. You want to get some stickers. You want to get some morale patches. Anything on their site you buy goes to helping them stop. Because guess what? If this anti-gunner sues this company, puts them out of business, which it will, then other anti-gunners that got a bunch of money are going to find similar situations, and they're going to start suing gun manufacturers and suing them, and they're going to use it as ways, one, to make money, and two, shut down any gun manufacturer that's low-hanging fruit. Anyone who's not a major company can get sued for whatever reason they make up, and as long as they got better lawyers, they have a good chance of winning. And even if they don't, here's the thing, as long as they throw enough money and enough injunctions and enough cash at it, if the other side doesn't have enough money to keep paying for lawyers, they will get a default judgment, which means that just because they don't have enough money to afford attorneys, they will automatically lose. Even though they're 100% in the right and the case was BS to begin with, they will lose. Their company's gone. All the investment they put into it, all their employees will be laid off. All their stuff will be taken from them. It'll be sold. And you could be like, you look at some of the other cases where, out of Nevada, where a company sued a gun company, or some people sued a gun company, and they actually bought all of the stuff that they were selling to pay them, and then had all the equipment destroyed because they never want that equipment to make firearms again. But remember, this isn't just some company getting sued. This is the ability for small manufacturers or even medium manufacturers to stay in business. This is to show people you can't just sue gun companies out of nowhere, and to send a message, hey, us freedom-loving Americans, us two-way guys, we're not going to stand for this. So go over to KEarms, look through what they got, buy something for $5. If you're broke like me, find something cool. Just buy it. Help these guys out. Spread the message. Tell your friends, tell your buddies, go on YouTube, Grinder if you're into that, whatever, and just let people know to hop over to KEarms, check their stuff out, and they could use your help, not their donations, they won't take it, but just buy something to give them some money to fight off these anti-gun a-holes. So as usual, you got questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comment section.